One of these keys, right?
Yeah.
And someone had it or it's there?
If it's not up there, then somebody
Key
has.
up there.
Yeah,
You
so
need
if the
that.
key is up there, then.
Sorry, I'm giving you this.
Are we ready?
Yes, we are recording and unmuted
Cue the action,
and on the video, so.
and we start now. Welcome to the March 30th, 2026 meeting of the Public Safety and Sanitation Committee. My name is Stuart Desser, I'm chair of the committee. Tonight, we're joined by Community Coordinator Brian Lafferty. This meeting is called to order at 18:32. Members of the community who are not on the board, who are attending here, I guess, or virtually, you can raise your hand if you're attending virtually, or use the Q&A feature through Zoom. If you wish to speak, just raise your Zoom hand, or here, raise your hand. I think Kevin has volunteered to take the minutes tonight. Is that correct?
I will do the minutes. Did I volunteer? And in all honesty, I didn't, but I'll be happy to do them.
You've been voluntold.
That sounds like volunteering.
Thanks, Kevin.
For the record, I just want to be accurate.
Well, that's good because you're taking the minutes, so we'll take the roll call now, please.
Thanks, Stu. Committee members, I'll call your name. When your name is called, please say present. I'll announce if there is a quorum. Stu Desser.
Present.
Thank you. Justin Goldberg.
Present.
Thank you. Gloria Hage.
Present.
Thank you. Rupal Kakad.
Here.
Thank you. Sandra Leftoff. Here. Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
Thank you. And Ann Seligman will be joining us later. So with 6 or 7 members present, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. The agenda for tonight's meeting is distributed ahead of time. All of the sequence was later changed, because Anne raised the FDNY issue and she can't join us till 7. We switched things around. I'm also going to sneak a little of the chair's report in at the top. Does anyone have any objections to the new agenda?
No.
Thank you. Seeing no objections, the agenda is adopted. The minutes from the February 5th, 2026 meeting were distributed ahead of time. Without objection, we'll adopt the minutes as drafted. And seeing no objections, the minutes from the February 5th, 2026 meeting are adopted. Without objection, we'll suspend the rule requiring committee members to be recognized before speaking. Kevin, that's actually important for you because I'll not pay attention to that yellow hand all the time. So feel free to speak when you feel you're being ignored. So the first agenda item is the one that I find the least favorite, which is budget requests and district needs. I've always been a bit uncomfortable with budget requests, in part because instead of us starting with the need and then asking for money, we're sort of told to ask for money and figure out how to allocate it. But I like the process because it sort of forces us to organize our concerns. So regarding the sanitation district needs and budget requests, the DSNY superintendent has agreed to join us on May 7th. I hope then to invite a number of our neighborhood groups, neighborhood associations, because all of them seem to have some concerns about sanitation. So as a consequence of that, I think we will have more to say about sanitation district needs. Whoever wrote this stuff that's on on the website, I happen to like under district needs for sanitation, but I didn't do it. Yeah, you're all innocent. I also want to mention that's the proposal that Stytone gave us for resolution that you all received this morning, I think. As you know, I do want to take care of Stytown. I do want to meet with them and see how we can help. And that's true, especially because I think their management firm, Beam Living, has not done a good job relating to them at all. However, while they're asking for more police, and that's an understandable reflex in a case like this, and obviously that's a budget issue for us, I don't know if that's the best path to take. I understand the wish to do something rather than nothing. But in terms of long-term solutions and short-term solutions, there's mixed evidence on whether adding on the number of police actually reduces crime. In this case, this sort of horrible assault, not sort of, this horrible assault that happened, it's not clear that adding police patrols would have done anything. And you look like you want to speak.
If what is said in that resolution about how there's less police and the percentage of that, I think that's concerning.
Okay, so we can talk about that. I would like to, and we can talk about that now. But I would like to bring Stuytown, Cooper Village in, and talk with them along with, whoever else will talk with us. I did meet with, actually, I visited their, public safety, people in the control center. And I spoke with the, 13th precinct, lieutenant,
Lieutenant.
and, they seem to have a good grasp on what's going on. So we can discuss that. I also did speak with the district attorney's office earlier today, to see what more we could learn about the alleged assailant. DAs, you realize, have to be, they have constraints on what they can say before trial, and they're sticking to it. So there's not a lot of information right now about the assailant, but we do know that he's got priors. My original understanding, I think from Danny, is that the priors were all non-violent. But what I'm subsequently understanding is that that refers only to the priors that were actually active at the time that he was arrested. So there may be some violence in his history. And I think as a community board, beyond looking at, adding policing, we need to look at long-term, solutions, about that.
I'll just also, like I could mention with Gloria, I would like to, I mean, were we planning to invite them here? Or like what's the next step of that?
I'd like to have them, my tentative
Yeah, sure.
design is to bring them here in June.
It's kind of far away. I mean, there's happened in last month. Is there a reason we can't have them next month? Or,
Yeah, because next month is when next month meaning actually May.
yes,
Next month is when I want to take advantage of the district, superintendent for
Okay.
DSNY. And I just don't want to crowd, when people are invited, and we don't know how long the discussion is gonna go, I just don't want to crowd.
no,
I also wanted to bring them in last month.
sure.
And that got stymied in different ways. And then there was a time that it was the decision of the board that we probably wouldn't have to deal with that. And then we got this note this morning, so things are changing and that could change too.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure that the extra month matters. I mean, what happened has happened. There's not a crisis going on. We are still in a relatively low crime area. And I think doing things thoughtfully is probably better than rushing them.
Is that the way they feel?
I didn't talk to them yet. I only got this note this morning.
Because the reason I'm asking is because one incident doesn't say whether it's like, I'd like to hear if they feel like it's a really pressing issue.
That's a Stuytown resident, I'm with Stu, I live in Stuytown, that's,
It's
and they've
also,
already added more security, like private security, there's like one or two people almost every corner in Stuytown, I can't go more than like
So why,
20 feet without
So what's-
seeing an additional security guy.
why they send this?
And
I'm not
also, infrastructure, if I may, as a Stuytown resident as well. So you have mirrors now before you enter.
Oh,
um,
yeah, that's right, they added those
That's
too.
As you go into the entrances, you can see behind you if there's anybody there. And we have gotten
Yeah.
direction that we should circle around if we feel uncomfortable and there's someone we don't know behind us and don't just enter.
And they've also posted bigger signs on the door that this area is under 24-hour surveillance, which wasn't there before either, in front of every entrance into the building. So there have been certain additional steps that they have taken and the mirrors have been really helpful as well.
And they are hiring more public safety officers. Now they're starting with temporary officers, but they're planning on expanding. I see a hand up, but did you live in Stuytown?
No,
Then I won't ask you. We have, Rachel, whose hand is up. I'd like to hear her.
Hi, it's Rachel Passaretti Wu, and I apologize. I'm actually in a taxi cab on the way to the meeting now. But I did hear some discussion about the new temporary police, public safety that have been hired, and maybe why is it that we're still asking for increased police at the 13th precinct? And I will just say that there was an experience recently in the neighborhood where there was an altercation that was happening, and those privately hired guards were told that they're not allowed to interfere or intervene whatsoever. They're simply there to stand there and potentially be a deterrent. So they can't even help if somebody is being attacked or otherwise. And I don't know if anyone has mentioned it yet, but we were told that the 13th precinct is actually down by 40% headcount, which is very frightening to the community and significantly impacts response times. And I will also note that the burglary rates have increased in the area. I heard there was some discussion about safety statistics, and the burglary incidents have actually gone up in the area.
Okay, thank you. So this is all leading to what should be an in-depth discussion. Um, which we're not prepared to undertake tonight, but in the next 15 minutes, what are your thoughts about budget requests and community needs? Again, we'll hear what what we learned from sanitation in the first week of
Do we
May.
get two or sanitation and public safety?
Sorry,
Two budget requests.
right,
There's two district need statement
Okay.
sections.
They're separate.
right, separate,
Okay.
yeah.
That
So where would you all like to head with this?
Can you pull up the list for one of them, please?
Sure.
And
I want
I'll-
to get back to police.
I
It's
think,
40% down. I think that's, well, why? I just want to know why.
Fair question. And I'll just point out that Rupal is the only one who's actually on schedule with the district needs and budget request. And Kevin had been a chair of parks, and so he has some experience with this. So, your contributions would be particularly welcome.
Can you?
I mean, when you're not taking notes for the minute, Kevin.
Multitasking, I'm happy to do it. Yeah, I just want to mention one thing, Stu, since we have a little chance to jump in here. What has been the response or non-response from Beam Living? And I don't think we should leave out the majority owner, Blackstone, as well. If not, when you mentioned management company has not been responsive. Have you reached out to both?
I have reached out to Beam Living. I haven't reached out to Blackstone, because I think Beam Living is the face for all of us. But I'd be glad, for the meeting when we deal with this, to reach out to Blackstone as well. I've expressed to Beam Living that I think it would be to their benefit as well as ours if they would make themselves present at our meeting. And so forth. They thanked me for my suggestion. So we'll see what happens, once we put together a real meeting.
I would agree with that. I just think it'd be nice to check that box if we reach out to Blackstone, like you said, even if we expect a no thank you. We do know for the public forum that Stu and I were both at, that the Stuytown and Peter Cooper Village Tenants Association put together, that they did not allow the tenants. I'm sorry, let me take this back. Before that Tenants Association had the meeting, there was an online forum hosted by Beam Living, and the Tenants Association should have been part of that, and they were told no. So that was a missed opportunity to have more neutral voices on that call.
Right, and I've heard a number of tenants say that they felt that the forum was totally scripted, and they weren't really
It
welcoming.
definitely was. Kevin and I were both listening. It definitely was.
So this would be, we can give them an opportunity to actually have interaction, and they have some good people, in their public safety office, I think. That would represent the management well. So I hope they join us. Brian has brought up the list, I believe.
Yes, so you'll see general crime was CP6's current pick, among this list here. There's also crime prevention programs, emergency disaster preparedness, emergency service delivery, fire safety, police community relations, public nuisance, such as noise and other disturbances, public safety facilities, precincts, fire, housing, etc. Support for people on probation, traffic violations and enforcement, youth crime, and then of course there's a category that you can write in.
And of course, we'll hear about fire safety too.
And then the other section, if you'd like me to pull that up. And this would,
Thought we were gonna discuss this at the exec meeting.
yeah, so, exec did discuss this after we initially, briefly, mentioned it at the February.
So is it being sent back here or are we continuing the discussion at exec? Cause my understanding was that was gonna continue discussion in exec meeting.
That was my understanding.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
so
that we
that's what
don't-
exec decided, so we don't necessarily need to, concern ourselves with this.
With which I'm a little confused, discuss
With
what?
the district needs statement section on core infrastructure, city services and resiliency. So the decision was made at exec because there's several committees that deal with this area that the executive committee would take a look at this instead.
So one reason I've always felt stressed by district needs is because we haven't gotten a lot of the data that we need. We're still pushing 311 to provide some information, or actually to reach out to the people who complain about dirty streets. My understanding from DSNY is that they do not have any kind of surveys at this point to assess conditions on the streets. All they do is they take 311 reports, and some of their supervisors go out, and of course they're giving out summonses. So there's no systematic collection of data. Now, that may not be, 311 reports are not the worst way. But, they're not necessarily a systematic matter either.
You don't catch everything either. The people who do actually call.
No, and then, other issues are those, wheeled tilt, baskets are always overstuffed, and, the lids are always up, and that defeats, the design because you're supposed to deter rats. And they're supposedly giving out tickets for that, but I haven't seen that. So some of the other sanitation related issues are, some of the neighborhood associations want to put out their own, waste basket. Sometimes in the same locations as DSNY has them, sometimes in other locations. The bids will tell you that DSNY does not collect from their private baskets. They have to have, somebody empty them and put them on the street. It's possible that we can see if there's kind of a degree of cooperation between them. There's graffiti issues. DSNY does, either remove or paint over graffiti. It has a team that does that. They get to it usually within 30 to 60 days, is my understanding. If you don't do anything in 30 days, then they will automatically come out and take care of that. So that's sort of a positive plus, but in many neighborhoods, that's too long.
I just want to go back to 311 as one part. Is there, does the city provide summaries of what's been called into 311 and outcomes? So one can understand how 311 actually functions and what its outcomes are?
Because you're the youngin in this group, you wouldn't know this, but,
That's only the beginning. But go on.
but, we have actually, we went to open data and pulled 311 data, 311 records, for dirty street conditions, and, we just did a sampling. And what we saw from those records is that a number of people would say something like, I complain about this all the time and nothing ever happens, or this is a chronic condition. And what we want to do is be able to follow up with those people. So what Brian is doing is trying to get 311, which can't give us their names, that's a privacy issue, but trying to get 311 to send the complainants or the service requesters a note that says, please get in touch with CB6. And that will give us an opportunity to understand how people in the community feel about the response to dirty conditions. And before Brian's time, when it was Brendan, he pointed out that there's a website that tells you gives you the results of the satisfaction surveys. And generally, people are not satisfied with anything that goes to 311.
I just wondered if there wasn't, shouldn't there be a public, a spot, a place where we could, we know the kinds of requests that come in, that is public data. It's not public data, you could search, so you were doing a search for it, but the issue would be is you're trying to figure out safety, what actually is called in, well, that's from the police department. Well, I guess I don't know where it starts.
You mean a dashboard, basically, right? Like so for fire, for instance, Anne is looking for something like CompStat.
Yeah, it's a version of CompStat, exactly. Of course, they decide what the categories are, but aside from that, that would be helpful for all of this, so even in having a budget, you at least know what's being
So you can see the
pointed,
frequency.
what we're chasing, what.
So you can see the frequency of what
Yeah,
issues.
so you have, so it's not our choice, it's not what we feel, but we know what's being called in, and also the outcomes, all of which is very helpful.
Sure.
So I would think that's a policy statement I would think we would want.
I think that's true, and I think, I mean, one of my primary issues on district needs is actually that there has to be data. And it's been very hard, so the current district superintendent for DSNY seems very happy to join us, and he's been good to talk to on the phone. So I'm hoping that we get more from that.
So I would say this is an executive meeting, because that's where you're dealing with all these different district needs. Primary on that should be, what are the needs that are being called in? I know 311, so in general, so that you know what's coming into our district as complaints, and therefore indicates something about the nature of the needs of the community, and that becomes a policy statement across all of our different committees. I think that would be very useful.
And it would be good actually if there was mapping on the website.
Well, I was gonna say is so 311 is one source of people can.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think through other ones might be like local politicians, so people call the city councilman or the some and say, hey, I'm concerned about these. So I'm just like trying to think maybe political leaders, who else
Right.
would 311 political leaders make?
My husband?
Yeah. We bring him
Not
in,
in my-
so, but yeah, any sources that we have,
Yeah.
I want to say like one complaint, what do you hear, but like kind of people that are fielding everything that we might not hear.
We're not hearing most of it.
You, and how about you too, because you're probably getting a ton of emails for issues with public
People
safety.
leave me alone.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, or CB6, I'm saying that's another way to kind of quantify it.
Yeah,
I
great.
think on 311 at least, didn't we discover that noise was the biggest complaint in our district? In 311.
We're
it
going by
was-
that, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it was noise that was the largest
Yes.
topic of
Can you
complaint.
bring that satisfaction survey website up? Do you have that handy?
A lot of stuff gets buried in that, noise would be the one we know, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that gets But lost,
But also just think like,
lost in translation, but it gets
let's
lost.
say who is contacting 311, like what's, so there's a little bit of a selection bias there too.
I agree with
Sure,
that.
that's true.
Who
We can't get that.
utilizes it most?
Could literally be, somebody on 40, right, that happened to move and go next to Grand Central, and it's like, I don't know who's, I'm just saying, the frequency doesn't necessarily mean it reflects the whole community's perspective, but it's worth,
So on this website, you can narrow it down to community board district. And. the
What is
nature of
this
the
thing you're
complaint.
looking?
So this is the 311 resolution satisfaction dashboard.
36 out of,
Yeah, so the average score is 36 out of 100.
good batting average, yeah.
Where do you feel, I make call 311. I've never gotten where's the satisfaction?
So typically when a 311 service request is closed, at least if you file it online, leave your email address, they'll send you an email asking you to fill out a survey. And so
So they lose all the anonymous ones,
it's all,
whatever.
yeah, no, they
But-
don't,
Okay.
they don't include any personally identified.
No, if you call up anonymously.
Oh,
Right,
yeah,
then
if
you
you don't
know
leave your
that-
contact
Response rate
info.
is 12%, so only
Yeah,
12%.
yeah, so that would, okay, that's a,
Right, if you don't leave your
Okay.
contact information, there's no way
Yeah.
for them to follow up.
okay.
So. But yeah, no, this, I was just saying that all the data that they receive, they don't ask, they don't include obviously
Okay.
personal contact information, in the, what they. In these surveys. And you can also see the borough averages, and there's a few. Which is years, okay. So search by district. 6.
But the satisfaction results aren't necessarily any worse in our district than in other districts.
Yeah. So there's these different problems or types of complaints. And you can see the survey count and then the satisfaction scores for each type of problem. So.
Okay, so let's sum this up because we're not gonna obviously go very far tonight. I think. You know, we'll get DSNY information at our next meeting. We'll try to deal with policing issues when we talk to Stuytown. And we'll cover more than just Stuytown at that point. And welcome, Sandra Sanchez. We'll be with you in just a moment. I think a request for better data collection is probably one of the more important things we can do right now because it's hard to assess the conditions without that, because I hear a number of complaints like overflowing corner basket and missing baskets, and there's just not a lot of information about that. We are now at 1900, we're expecting Anne to join us. But I am going to ask Sandra, first of all, welcome. And I'm just gonna ask you to give us a bit of an introduction. The reason I think that you're here tonight, and I'm making this guess because I'm the one that invited you, so I should know better. Is mostly so that we understand the organization of the department, the realms that you cover, and then we can start to talk to you about the information that we'd like to collect from you. And thank you very much for the community risk assessment website. That's pretty interesting. So can you just give us an overview? I think you're probably well prepared to do that.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Sanchez. I'm the Director of Community Affairs here at the Fire Department for New York City, and a bit of what I cover in a vast agency and in an even bigger city. So Community Affairs sounds exactly just like it is. We are the bridge between the community and our agency, and that includes not only sharing proactively. Everyone knows you call 911. Most likely, you're not having a good day. 911 is not the line that you use to thank us for the great work that we're doing. It's not one of the best things if you have to call 911. But a lot of the work that Community Affairs does is more preventative in the fact that we are equipping New Yorkers with fire safety education skills that they can employ within their homes to keep not only themselves safe, but their neighbors safe as well. So we have fire safety education under my banner. Also, we have mobile CPR. Again, another training where we, like insurance, we hope that you don't have to use, but should someone that you care about, a fellow New Yorker, go into cardiac arrest, we can have a bystander jump into action and begin compressions only CPR before first responders arrive on the scene. And then the newest addition to our cadre is our control the bleed training. And again, another skill that builds the resiliency of New York City in the light that there is an incident where someone is gravely injured, how to truly stop the bleed before first responders get on the scene. I think that, oftentimes we hope that we never have to use these skills. We hope that we never have to practice that fire escape plan, but having those within our toolkits allow us to be better informed, I think, move more efficiently when things can get very hectic and emotions are high, and also help our fellow New Yorkers. It wouldn't hurt to say that all these resources, the New York City does provide, fire department provides it at free of charge. So as you're thinking of your public facing events, consider us, invite us. If you invite us, there's not a place that we will not come, and we would love to partner with some of the community partners that are in the room with the community board. We have held these trainings at the community board at committee hearings, so we'd love to come and help build a more resilient city. So that's more of what's in my wheelhouse. But in speaking to Stuart, I want to share about some of how we too use data to inform the work that we do. One thing that I love about the fire department is that we are in real time analyzing, looking at trends, looking at the statistics for us to better do our work. Is there something that we need to add to our training? Is there messaging that we need to communicate to various communities, because we're seeing certain types of fires, certain types of issues, again, to better inform the work that we do. An example of this, I would say, would be lithium ion batteries. Pre-COVID, you'd say lithium ion batteries and people would look at you quizzically. They've been around for a while. But post-COVID, we began to see the numbers of fatalities and deaths increase. At one point, I don't want to misquote the year. We had 18 injuries, and including deaths, 18 injuries, and I can thankfully say last year it was one. Again, this can be attributed to the messaging, to what we were truly seeing on the ground. But what I do also want to share is that one is too many. While we're thankful for that big decrease, but we also, that one life lost as a result of fire is too many. So we are constantly using data to help drive well, not only what we do, but how we do, where are we targeting messaging, and sharing it as need be with with community boards. So perhaps, I believe in my conversation with Stuart, he shared with me a little bit about what what the committee may be interested in. So I have my notes. So if you see me looking down, please know I'm taking some avid notes on how we can make our statistics and our information useful to the work that you do in Community Board 6.
Anne is with us. Anne, you're now, in charge.
Oh, I don't know that I need to be in charge, especially because I can't see everybody there. But I want to start, Sandra, by thanking you for being here. Obviously, the FDNY is a critical part of public safety. And I sort of started all this because I realized we hear from the precincts, we hear from other organizations. We're trying to kind of develop with a relationship with DSNY, but we hadn't reached out to the fire department. So you had shared with Stuart and he shared with us or with the board office. Sort of my basic questions are kind of what are the problems that FDNY is dealing with in our district? And what are the things that the community board can do to address those and reduce? How do we put you out of a job is really the thought. So not you personally, of course, but and the materials that were sent about kind of what's going on in our district versus the rest of the city was really interesting, really useful. I'd never heard of it or seen it before, so that in itself was great. But so those are kind of my questions for you, which is, what do you see? What do I would love it if the precinct would come to us and say, this is really, and they do, this is the problems that we're facing. We think whether it's public education, whether it's doing trainings like do our schools and everything, no, especially the biggest buildings know of the resources that are available, whatever we can do for that. So that's kind of why I wanted to have you here.
Sure. Thank you again. We're able to share, and perhaps I think the best next step is that if you invite us um, I don't know the frequency, but next month, essentially, I can invite a member from our operations team. So your actual battalion chief that works within your community, and he can intimately share because for the most part, they are the ones when you call 911, I will not be the one showing up when you call 911, but they certainly would be. So and he can, uh the chief would be able to share with you what he's actually seeing on the ground and share some statistics. So I've made a note of that. One thing that I can say, and this is more of the work that we're doing and how it affects us programmatically. One thing that we have noticed across New York City, and Community Board 6 is not exempt, that when we are responding to fire, so even if thankfully it's not a fatality, New Yorkers do not have functioning smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. And that indeed is your first line of defense. So as a result, we have partnered with the American Red Cross. The program is called Get Alarmed NYC. We can install free of charge smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors within your home. You can register. I will share this via email, but if you go to www.fdnysmart.org, that is one word, you will see community programs, and it's on that top front line of community programs that we can share, and that I think that that's something that we can echo. Having a functional alarm within your home decreases your chance of fatality or death by 50%. That is not a small number. Just think about getting a 50% discount off of anything that you love. That is not a small number. So we're doing our due diligence and letting New Yorkers know that this resource is available to them and free of charge and can help protect their lives and the lives of neighbors and the lives of their loved ones as well.
And I saw that 2 of the 3 deaths in our district were in residences that did not have a working smoke detector. Do you have any sense of why so many residents don't? We hear that in the news as well. Do people just dismiss it as not important?
It's a mix of both that people one they just see it there and have not tested it. So this is the sign. This is the shameless promotion. We recommend that everyone test their alarms at minimum twice a year. So when we fall back and when we spring forward. So we just recently passed spring forward because sometimes people are under the false impression that it is functioning. It's up there, it's up towards the ceiling and the door, not something that you can necessarily reach. So it's important that you test it. One thing that I can say, particularly for older homes, private homes, once upon, that's up to the homeowner to make sure and to get a functional smoke and carbon monoxide alarm. But now it's into law that when you sign a new lease, your landlord must provide you with a functional smoke and carbon monoxide detector.
Yeah.
So I think that we're seeing changes in policy as it relates to that. And then what happens is that if you're not a top chef and you happen to be cooking, what happens is that people just remove it and they say, you know what,
Right.
this alarm is gonna go off. And
Every time I turn the oven on, the alarm goes off. I mean, that's
I
true in our house. So,
and people forget to place it back where it needs to be, and so it's a mix of both. And then the worst thing that we hate to see is that they have an alarm, but that alarm is still in the box. The alarm is still in the box, put off to the side. So an alarm that's still in the box is equivalent to that alarm still being in that home improvement store of no use to the residents that are in the home. So it is a mix of both, but particularly within the program, alarms average about I want to say anywhere from about 40 to about $55 each. So we want to reduce that burden through this program. We want to reduce that burden and provide the smoke alarms and install them properly, because it's not only important to have the alarm, but to also make sure that that alarm is installed in an appropriate manner. One on every single floor, one certainly next to what would be the boiler or the heating apparatus within your home, near the kitchen. We want to make sure that New Yorkers are safe.
But there was
so
nothing about that, but I'm sorry, go ahead, Ann.
no, I was just going to say, given that it is law and our building, which is not great about everything, is really good about like checking in with all the tenants. And I wonder if that's not a way that if we can reach out, especially to kind of the biggest landlords in our area, or even if we put, something in our newsletter saying, hey, got a working smoke detector. If you didn't, here's a way to get one. And your landlord should be, taking care of this as well. So, yeah, that's great.
And I'm happy to share a blurb with you as well, something succinct so you can copy and paste it about making, now's the time. This is the sign that you've been looking for to have a functional alarm.
Okay, Elizabeth, see you online. We'll get to you in a second. Uh, Sandra, I wanted to ask, the community risk assessment, it shows that 75% of buildings in our district were built before 1938, before the 1938 fire codes were instituted. And yet those buildings have only 42% of the fires in the district. Uh, And while only 10% of our buildings were constructed after the 67 code revision, of those, 28% of all the fires in our district are in those buildings. I suspect some of that is because the newer buildings have more units in them, but can you explain that apparent discrepancy?
I
Why,
would
go ahead.
I would not be able to. I don't want to speak on what what I believe my assumptions are. So that is a question for me to take back. I do not want to be misleading and and like they say in my studies, correlation does not equal causation. So allow me to take that back and circle back with you.
Okay, and do you have an office that does this sort of analysis, that does statistical?
Yes, we do. We have ooh, and I'm trying to remember the acronym. We are a city of acronyms, but we do have our data analytics system that is constantly facilitating that information and why that may be the cause.
That would probably be pretty interesting for us, especially for our district. Let's give Elizabeth a chance to jump in here. Give 1 second while we enable you to talk, Elizabeth.
And in the meantime, would you be able to send that question writing? Because that was very specific, and I took some notes, but I don't want to miss. And would you be able to provide those questions to me in writing?
Yeah, we can definitely send that.
I'm
Thank
I'm not
you.
I'm not good at remembering what I said, but yes, we'll manage.
You gave me at least four statistics. That is
Elizabeth, please.
Okay, hi. Um, I'm concerned as I'm walking around, say, the East Village, that I see these large numbers of e-bikes. And I'm wondering about the lithium batteries. Somehow it seems that's, I know that they're fire hazards. And when there are, say, on 11th Street, near First Avenue, there must be, I don't know, maybe 100 of them, all close together on that street. Also on 14th Street between Second and Third Avenue, on the south side of the street. I'm wondering how, is that an FDNY issue? Or I think lithium batteries are a concern in these e-bikes.
And I'll just add to the question. Most of the time, it's my understanding that they ignite when they're being recharged.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Sandra?
we did find initially that they were igniting in the midst of charging, but to answer Elizabeth's question, that so the our purview is if they were all charging within or on the streetscape. So you're not permitted to charge your bike what is in like a public area, even if it would be in the lobby of your residential building.
But it isn't, so hasn't the city set up some lithium charging station, battery charging stations?
Yes, and our Bureau of Fire Prevention, those locations are investigated and go through a vetting process. So we are aware of where those locations are. There are many I think functions I would say that they're I would say like closed cells. So if anything were to happen, that immediate cell would shut down their requirements for having sprinkler systems and the like. So it is not a it is not necessarily I think like a pop-up shop that random persons can come and charge their vehicles their e-bikes. But what I will also say is that we also rely on New Yorkers to be our eyes and ears on the street. We know that businesses don't randomly pop up overnight. So if there's something that that seems off, you can feel free to reach out to the community board. They can reach out to me, and we, our Bureau of Fire Prevention team, can go out and investigate. But in the light of that, they're all, sometimes the bikes are just, I think, in between breaks, waiting for the next call, whatever it may be. That is outside our purview. The congregation of bikes is not within our purview. It becomes when it's charging in a public area that particularly could block egress of others. That's when it falls within the FDNY purview.
But just to pick up on what I think is Elizabeth's concern, it's just this collection of e-bikes in a single place, whether they're being charged or not. Do they tend to ignite even when they're not being charged, or is that basically an issue when they're being charged and possibly with the wrong charger?
Um, anything defective, I'm not saying this to alarm, but any defective instrument has the ability uh to ignite. But in that, but again, the congregation of said bikes, we cannot we cannot tell. We do not have the reach to say that the e-bikes are not allowed to congregate in one particular area.
Wasn't there also a
Can
program
I
where they,
just jump in? Just to respond to Elizabeth, I do know that Community Board 3, because what you're talking about at 11th Street and First Avenue is CB3. Susan Stetzer at CB3 and also Harvey Epstein have addressed
Oh,
that issue with over 150 bikes, I believe.
yes.
They're trying to have individual bike stations, parking slots for those bikes, the last I heard. So I just wanted to let you know that there has been some movement on that issue.
Thank you.
wasn't there also a program where a couple years ago, there were a lot of like batteries that weren't officially certified or something, and then they did a program, to swap them out like free of charge and get them certified, and that also helped reduce a lot of the fires and hazards.
That program was existing. I believe that it's since been discontinued. But again, the difficulty is that, if you're using this bike as a means as a means of living and a way to support yourself and your family, sometimes you're telling yourself, what's the difference in price? Why is this brand X amount of dollars and this brand is X minus 100? So I think that safety costs, it may make it may just seem like $100 up front, but certainly that over time, having batteries that are UL rated, that stands for Underwriters Laboratory. We stress this, and this is not only for batteries. We stress this for all devices, be it your laptop, be it your cell phone, be it the chargers of your cell phones and other devices. The reason why we're stressing and we promote to make sure that your devices are UL rated is because they have been tested. They have been tested in inclement conditions. New York City can get very cold. New York City can get very hot. So we want to make sure that if they are operating within the New York City, they're the safest that they can be. And that's that's the most that we can ask for. Can something be defective? Yes. But to the best of our ability, we want to make sure that what we are inviting or allowing within our homes is the safest option that they have out there.
Isn't that code now that they have to be nationally listed by UL or one of the other agencies in New York City? The batteries? Well, that's another question.
We're getting there. Let me say that we're getting there, because I say this to say code is only as effective as its enforcement. There and the ability to enforce it. I know alongside our agency, we have partnered, we've partnered with NYPD. Sometimes when e-bikes are on parks grounds, this falls within the territory of parks. So we are working diligently, I think, on an intra-agency level to see how best to tackle some of the issues that we're seeing out there.
Well, but that's a question because commercial cyclists are regulated and they do, they are subject to certain degrees of inspection. It used to be DOT that would do the inspections. They don't seem to be doing it right now, but this isn't, I don't think it would be FDNY who would go to their locations. So,
Stuart, I wonder if it might be something that NYPD, if they are writing summonses to cyclists for whatever, like riding on the sidewalk, riding the wrong way, if that's something that they might check as well. And obviously that would be another like interagency issue, NYPD and FDNY coordinating on.
I think that's a great idea. We can ask NYPD about that. Other questions, statements?
I would just like to, I know that you have trainings, but do you have on your website, like something like Stop the Bleed? Is that something that could be a instructional video? Do you have anything like that for regular folks?
We Control the Bleed is our newest program, so I want to say that we don't have as much material or PSAs as we do with CPR and fire safety education, but we're getting there. But what I really want to stress, particularly with CPR and Control the Bleed, it's very hands-on. While we can do
Right.
something and share with you virtually, nothing beats having the mannequin and you're actually feeling and practicing how to perform compressions. With our control the bleed training, it's the idea of actually having the tourniquet and wrapping it around a fellow New Yorker. So I think a little bit of the knowledge gets lost when it's solely virtual for those two.
And there's nothing like putting your lips on one of those plastic mannequins.
I know.
Uh,
Oh, no, they don't do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore.
really?
Compressions only. It's
Compressions
compressions only.
I've heard that, but I've always been suspicious of that, but that's
No.
someplace else.
It's compressions only now.
Is it?
And do you have a schedule for the FDNY mobile CPR unit? Does that travel outside of Brooklyn? And if it is, can we have it in our area? That's a
We
request.
come to you. You make our schedule. The community makes
That's what
our
I thought.
schedule.
Okay.
That
We should-
unit specifically works. So it will not be during the 9 to 5 day because 9 to 5, you and I can can very well be at work. So we will come to you. We'll come to your public facing events. We can come to your evening meetings and facilitate that training. I will put I'm gonna make sure the chat is active. So before I head out, I'm gonna include the links to the chat, but I will collectively share this with the community board and they can share it with you. And I'll include you too, Stuart, so you can share it with the rest of the committee.
And I know you have to go. I know you have a hard stop and I appreciate you being here. I'm just wondering, do you ever post stuff? I think especially around the spring forward, fall back, post stuff on Link NYC. Do you as a kind of part of the campaign? We have a lot of those, those little monoliths in our district, and that might be another good way to get the word out.
We have, but I'll speak to our Office of Public Informations that truly, I can tell you that truly controls when the I think messaging resources that are available to the community gets posted because there's a rhyme or reason. Lincoln NYC, we love them, but it's also for
But
profit. They're not gonna give the city agencies what I would say like prime getting ready and going to work viewership.
hours, yeah.
And the
Well,
city
Sandra, we actually get we have a community board spot once a month that we can use. So I don't know, we do have to talk about that, but our board gets like once a month.
Wow. That's
We-
wonderful.
Yeah, so we've used it before for other public messaging, especially around cleanliness or just a meeting coming up, and maybe there's something that, you know, for a month or around, I think this is what Anne was maybe getting to, around a certain time when it's all the other messaging is happening, you know, we align it so that it's the people in our area are seeing it.
No, I would certainly love that. And without knowing your current schedule, October is National Fire Safety Prevention Month. So if you could squeeze us in October, we would be delighted. I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Okay, you're now on overtime, so we won't keep you more. But thank you very much, and we will follow up with you, after the committee discusses it, and I think you have a sense of what we're interested in. And there's gonna be some more to talk about, that we didn't get to tonight, but thank you so much.
No problem. Please have a wonderful evening and be well.
Thanks, Sandra, and enjoy the next couple of nice days.
Yes, I've been waiting.
So have I. So our next issue is the the proposed New York Civil Rights Act. The resolution is pretty short. The act itself is pretty brief. In my mind, it's pretty straightforward. The idea is that you have forever been able to sue a state officer who has violated your constitutional rights. There are some problems, there are some challenges doing that, but it is in the law and people do succeed. To sue a federal officer is a totally different story. You can't sue them directly. You can't sue for violation of your constitutional rights generally. Under the Federal Tort Claims Act, you can sue the federal government for a violation of a state tort. So it's complicated and it's not terribly effective. I think it's straightforward, but I suspect that I'm wrong. So what questions do you all have?
Matt is here. What time is your meeting tomorrow? 10? Did you say? 12.
Yeah. Maybe. Okay,
So I was talking to someone at the health fair about it. And she's like, but who can afford to sue anybody? Like, it's very costly. And someone else mentioned suing to me too. And I really had that in my head. And then I went back and read this. If it can act as a deterrent, that's helpful.
and in fact, that's the one word I forgot to put in the reso. You could try to build that in. People do sue, families of those who've been wrongfully
Right.
killed, sue. People who've been severely injured. I believe the current version of the bill allows for attorney's fees to be claimed.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, reasonable attorney's fees is what the act says.
Yeah, well, they're all pretty high. And there are a lot of attorneys who care about this sort of thing, and rate the kinds of suits. So I think that if people are injured, they will sue. You may not sue for a minor First Amendment thing. On the other hand, you may get a partner and say the ACLU or NRCLU. But yes, it's a deterrent or intended to be. Oh, I'm sorry. Hello.
I would just add, I'm not sure in this instance if the attorney can represent the person on a contingency fee. But if that is allowed, then the plaintiff actually doesn't pay anything really. And so it's really costly to the defendant and not the plaintiff, the person bringing the loss.
All good information.
And that's, they would be willing to do that because the law allows for contingency fees. I'm ready to vote on it, but
Sandy.
oh,
But actually sued them at the state level.
At the state level.
Yeah, you're saying there is a state level version of this particular bill. And so this is now the federal, it's the federal equivalent of the same bill, is the way I understood you talked about it.
The federal bill allows you to sue state actors.
Right.
The state bill would allow you to sue federal actors as well.
So how many people have sued the state in our state?
I don't have sued the state, I don't have.
Using the federal
Right.
bill.
I
to sue.
don't have those numbers, I can collect them. I mean, I'm familiar with a number of lawyers who work on these cases.
Because I think that would be helpful to know, is that actually a deterrent then? Is it actually working the way it's supposed to be? And I'm also curious how much money they get. You know, it's, and what they sue for, is it if you're, shot dead, if you're inconvenienced, how it actually works.
And if you were, I forgot his first name, Freddie, for
Alex.
instance, they can't sue right now, under, they probably.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and I'm not sure it's gonna help with his death. So-
No, but his family can.
I mean, that's not the point. It wasn't a deterrent in that case, right?
It's hard to measure deterrence. in that way.
Exactly,
I
that's-
mean, you can't say what did not happen as a consequence of this.
Right, so that's, I think, why just some data on how it works now, the bill that's in place now, I think would be helpful to.
I can try to collect that.
Yeah, I think it would be good to have.
We also know that, under the federal statute 1983, many state actors get qualified immunity. And so they can avoid, ever appearing in court. It's not clear if that would apply to this state law.
To this law that we're discussing.
Right.
We don't know if it's going to apply.
We have no way of knowing it. It's qualified immunity was created by the Supreme Court. It's not a constitutional rule. Congress could actually override it, but they haven't chosen to do that. It's similar, in a sense to, Trump v. United States, where the court said, we just can't have the president distracted by, charges. So it's the same theory here. But the court hasn't had an opportunity to talk about, to rule on this issue. So we don't know if qualified immunity will be applied to it or not. There's just no way to know.
Well, qualified immunity is a little bit more than just that, though. I mean, qualified immunity is that, I'm not trying to justify or not justify it, but if a person is, if something occurs while they are in their capacity of employment. So, I won't even get into examples. So while, policemen or ICE or whomever, while they're working, if something happens, they're saying, it doesn't matter, well, can they be sued? You can sue, but they're going to say those individuals don't have to pay anything because they were operating in the context of their daily work routine. Whether it was an anomaly of what occurred or not, I mean, that's to be argued, but that's in part, that's qualified immunity. And that's just another example of qualified immunity. I mean, that's why some people hate qualified immunity. But it's like, it can be a free pass.
It can be a free pass. It's not actually the subject of this discussion. It's sort of a tangent, but yes, qualified immunity, when it's applied, can actually deny someone a day in court. They don't even get before a judge, basically. The qualified immunity is applied and that closes the case down. But it is more complicated than that. And it doesn't always, it's not always allowed.
Yeah.
Many cases do go forward.
Is this only about people in policing roles, or is it anybody employed by the government?
Any government, employee.
So I'm employed by the government and I do something to suppress your freedom of speech.
Mhm.
I would fall under that.
You could. you could, just as the same is true under the federal law. But, you know, we haven't seen a rush of lawsuits against, you know, against clerical workers or against
Yeah.
people with discretionary,
It does open up a can of worms as the government
that- and
becomes,
that's-
well, let me
that's-
finish, right? As the government goes more to the right, as it's playing roles in higher education, you open up quite a can of worms of what could be what somebody could see as a violation of their civil rights. Just so I understand.
That's right, and
Okay.
that's been an argument for a long time, and
Okay.
yet we haven't seen that rush of litigation. That's the thing that's here. But yes, I mean, you know, if you're going to,
Anne has her hand raised.
hi, Ann.
Hi, so I actually think qualified immunity is even, and the issues around this are even broader, that if somebody is driving a government vehicle and hits somebody, and they may be protected. And so say that's an NYPD officer and they're driving an NYPD vehicle and they hit somebody, it basically means you and I, if there is a settlement, which is honestly how most of these things go, you and I are paying that. And that's one of the differences between qualified immunity or with qualified immunity is that the qualified immunity, it sort of transfers the liability of that. But the reason I had originally raised my hand, and I don't know if you saw the email that I sent to you at like 5:30 today, Stu.
Just got here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things is in terms of this resolution, I'm not sure why we're stopping at the state level. Why we should not encourage our federal representatives and even those who are vying to become the state representative for many of us in the district. If we should not encourage them, like even if there's not a lot they can do, if it means that they know that this is an issue that's on our radar.
So first,
I swing.
Kevin's hand is
Sorry, I
up.
was just going to say I swing back and forth wildly on the idea of whether our resolution should be shooting for the stars or super practical. So forgive me for being.
So first, just to be clear, if a police officer has a crash, that's not a violation of generally not a violation of your constitutional rights or your rights. I mean, that's a tort.
No, but Stu, there are circumstances and there are times when there is a violation of your civil rights that is not just like arresting you while you're protesting. It's like there's a lot of stuff that, and we can talk about that offline, but I'm just saying like it goes beyond what people may be thinking of.
It might, and the bill that's being proposed is not narrowly focused on federal officers. It applies to state actors as well. It's any official. Kevin, you had a hand up.
Yeah, I broke your rule. I raised my yellow hand. I apologize. I was supposed to just scream out, right? Anyway, before I move, I'd like to move to vote on this resolution. I do support it. The question is, there's three other acts that are also related, the New York for All, the Radar Act, and the MELT Act. Is there a reason we're not addressing those as well, since they're all public safety, ICE-related issues?
Those acts all are in effect now, right?
I believe they're still, no, you can update me, but
Oh, I'm
last I
sorry.
checked.
You're right. There's no reason that I didn't go there. I just didn't think of those at the time. And in fact, Keith mentioned that at the last full board meeting. So we can look at that too, but unless you want to that into this right now. I think it makes more sense. You know, where our audience right now is primarily the governor, I think. And it makes sense to focus, I think, as narrowly as we can on this one bill. But I'd be glad to add a line if you feel that that's prudent here.
I would think so. I would make the argument that it might be stronger to support all four.
In one shot.
I would think so. Just to give everybody an update, the Radar Act basically creates a public online dashboard giving data on ICE, and also the immigrant officials' activity across the state. The the uh, the Civil Rights Act, we talked about the New York for All Act. I think we're all somewhat familiar with, and then the MELT Act is making sure that ICE agents and other federal agents are identified with badges or other identification, and also not to wear masks to cover their facial features.
So this might be there might be a reason not to include those in this. There might be a couple of reasons. One is that you may know that Illinois, I believe it is, or as we say in New York, Illinois, had a bill that was based sort of on the same premise as this bill. But that has been criticized as being vulnerable in part because it focuses specifically on ICE agents. And it specifically focuses on overriding or controlling federal agents. This bill was devised to avoid that kind of problem. So this bill is actually designed specifically to cover everyone. I realize that if we passed a resolution that said we support this bill and we support the other stuff, it's not really a conflict, but it feels as if we may be stepping beyond the purpose of this particular bill.
I'll circle back and make the motion to vote on this.
Yeah, before you do though, if you want to write another reso, I mean, we can certainly do a separate reso, and we can't do it tonight because it's not. I don't believe it's timely. I don't believe we're time pressed, but we can vote on it in the next month, in the next meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know when these are going before the governor?
I don't have any more information on that.
If you want to scribble something in the next 20 seconds, I think we could do another reso. If we're concerned that time is of the essence.
Well, we'd have to flesh it out, a little bit. It's not just adding. Again, it's the New York for All Act, the Radar Act, and the MELT Act. We could put them in there, but then again, how much copy do we need to put about each one?
Let's simplify.
What is the status of those bills? I mean, have they passed the House? Have they passed both chambers? Have they passed the Assembly? Have they passed Senate?
To be accurate, I want to go online to find out, but they have not been passed. They have not been signed.
If they've not been passed, no. But if they haven't been passed, like if they're still in committee, if they haven't been.
Like I'm just Googled it.
Yeah.
At least the
Yeah,
radar.
like if they're still in committee, like this is definitely not timely.
I didn't Google it.
You'd also have trouble with the preamble applying to everything at the same time. The whereas clauses wouldn't really be applicable in quite the same way. I think a separate resolution would be fine. And it doesn't sound like we need to get this done tonight.
No. Rupal, did you say you looked online? Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, so I looked up the Radar Act. It's in committee. And I also looked up the New York for All Act. They're both in committee.
Okay. And the MELT Act?
I will look that up next.
Are there any other issues, or do we want to vote this? And I will get the data on
Please, thank you.
before full board. This is also, by the way, got a number of
Look that
co-sponsors.
up, and they're saying there's no place they compile that information, so we might have to get it from a few sources.
there are people that collect this. And also there's a number of sponsors. There's a lot of sponsors, in the Senate alone.
Oh, they
for
probably
this.
have some data.
Gonzalez's,
Yeah.
I've been told by, I've been told that there will be other sponsors, by the time we get this. So
I looked up today, it looked like there was a lot of sponsors on it. Melt that.
Yeah, Tony Simone should be the lead name on that, if that helps you.
Oh, then I might be looking at the wrong one because it says, Patricia Fahey.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot on there though. I saw it today,
Yeah.
under the bill.
Okay, and
Just
Kruger
like,
actually,
I don't know,
Kruger's office told me that
15 or
that she was
16
also
of them.
behind the,
Yeah.
the
Kruger,
new.
It's also in committee.
Yeah.
It's also in committee.
It's in committee?
Yeah.
So we have.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
It's kind of related, but it could be new business, but I think it's related because we're talking about constitutional rights. New Jersey and California both have no face mask laws where ICE cannot wear face masks. I looked it up online. It looks like something came up in like July 2025. And I'm just wondering what is going on with that.
Governor signed it in New Jersey.
I know,
Within-
New Jersey
Oh,
and California.
that's what you're
have-
saying. You're
in
saying
New
what's
York
going
State.
on in other states?
Our state,
Oh, your
That's
state, our state.
that's the method.
That's the Melt Act.
Slow,
Yeah, the
slow,
Melt Act.
It may not pass muster. You do have the supremacy clause, and in this case, that's one of the problems with the Illinois, act, actually. It's called the Illinois Bivens Act, is that, they included issues about face masks on ICE agents. And that would have to, that probably will not survive the court.
It should.
But
If you are doing a lawful job, what are you afraid of? I mean, that's the question. If you're doing your job appropriately, why are you covering yourself? What are you afraid of?
I can tell you what their answers would be, but I don't think we need to get to that now. We can discuss that when Kevin brings up his draft.
We certainly will.
We will. Does everyone want to vote on this?
Second, if you need a second.
No, we don't need a second.
Yeah, let's vote.
We should have a second. Sorry. I was
Um,
getting into Stu's face on Robert rules.
Oh, that's why you're so far away tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wait, before we go, the only thing, did we want to put a word in about deterrence in this, or we're happy with the language as it is?
I think maybe that's a good argument that's comfortable for most people. So I think we should have it in there.
So we're,
I mean, maybe it's
well, yeah.
aspirational, but. it
Let me
needs to
just
be
find
there.
a place to put it. So the third whereas, the power of individuals to hold officials accountable is an essential check on government, particularly when the government does not hold itself to account. We can say is an essential, check on government and serves to provide deterrence.
Is it?
You're okay with that? No?
I'm not sure if it fits in there. Yeah. Can we do it can we get a separate clause?
Think of one quickly.
Well, we can't prove deterrence, that's a problem. It would be aspirational, I think. We can't prove it. I mean, we can say we hope it will be, but that's not, hope is, what's hope gonna do?
The goal of the law is.
I like that. One of the goals of the law.
So I'm sorry, you're adding a clause or you're just inserting?
One of the goals of the law is to, I don't know, the best way to say it, to provide deterrence from such actions that would be unconstitutional, something to that degree. You can figure it out. Yeah.
We're using the phrase constitutional. We need to be really clear whether we're referring to the New York State Constitution or federal Constitution. And I,
Okay.
for one, am not super familiar with the details of the rights in the New York State Constitution, at how they are
The state
described.
constitution belong, I would insert this into the third, whereas, I think that's the neatest place to put it. The power of individuals to hold officials accountable is an essential check on government, and a means of deterring, misconduct, official misconduct, a means of deterring official misconduct, particularly when the government does not hold itself to account.
I like it.
Yeah, that Brian? Very good. We ready to vote again?
And, for the
Please.
minutes, is
I'm sorry.
there a second?
We don't need a second word committee.
What kind of second is
If you need a second, I'll
Okay.
second it. If you need a second, I'll second it.
Okay, so a motion was made and seconded, but, we'll now take a vote, on the motion. When your name is called, please answer in favor, oppose, abstain, or not. Stu Desser,
In favor?
thank you. Justin Goldberg,
Abstain. Can I say why or should I not?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just, I was gonna say is on one side, I think, one of my high priorities is holding public servants to account. Also supporting our public servants against lawsuits that by impact might make policing more difficult and endanger our community. Candidly, with these bills, I'm not really sure which one outweighs the other, so that's why I'm voting abstain on that, because I'm really not sure.
Justin, should you not just vote no? Because you know an abstention is a no.
No, because I don't feel against it, and I'd rather have
Okay.
a no
Good
mean I'm
enough.
against it. So even if
Yep.
it does mean a no, that's not what I'm saying with my vote.
Okay, good enough.
Gloria Hayes,
anything that's to support our rights is okay with me. I approve it.
thank you. Rupal Picard.
In favor.
Picard, thank you. Sandra Leptop,
I abstain.
Okay.
I missed too much of this to really understand the complexities of it and the language.
Kevin O'Keefe,
In favor.
thank you. Ann Sullivan,
In favor. And I gotta run, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
Thank you, Ann.
okay, with 5 votes in favor, 0 opposed, 2 abstentions, and 0 non-entitled, the motion passes.
Thank you. Before we go on to new and old business, I just wanted to report that, to mention that tomorrow night is the 13th Precinct Community Council. It's not the normal night. I'm not sure if I can get there tomorrow, if anyone else is interested in going. It's an experience.
What is it? I don't know anything about it. What?
The 13th Precinct Community Council, the precincts each have a session that the public is welcome to, where some of the officers attend and basically lead, and people bring in their concerns about community issues, complaints. The officers will often explain, give a little bit of information about what's going on in the community and explain why they behave in a certain way. So last month, the Stuytown community, for instance, was particularly vocal at the meeting, calling for more police officers. But they'll talk about, they'll raise any kinds of issues that are, that they feel like, such as e-bikes, e-bike ticketing, where patrols are, if they have complaints about how the precinct is handled, some of their cases, they may come there and speak as well.
It's right in your neighborhood. It's East 21st Street.
It's,
Is that an inducement?
it's basically, we would normally, as a community board, we would normally take these kinds of complaints, but my feelings are that we don't need to replicate what NYPD already does in its community councils. And, the last chair of this committee is actually currently still the president of the 17th Precinct Community Council. So, they're different operations and they're different roles.
Okay, just so I know, because I don't know anything about this structure, there's a community council which represents people in the community. And then there are officers of that, but they represent their community members?
I would say they represent.
No, I forget to represent, I try to pull that back, but they have these positions.
It's, the term
I just don't
council
know.
is probably, misleading. It's a meeting, it's a session where, members of the community can come and they can talk directly with the police officers. The officer, the lieutenant usually will be up in front. There'll be some traffic officers.
Mhm.
There'll be some, quality of life officer there. And if you have any issues, you raise it, and they'll be more directly responsive to you, if you go there and do this in a public session.
Mhm.
Will happen if you just make a phone call. And you can get a sense of the mood of the community as well, because, most people who go to these meetings, I would guess, are people who at that moment are particularly riled about something. It's sometimes, there are some people who seem to show up at every meeting. But I think mostly it gives you an idea of what's going on at the moment.
Is that something worth putting up on the CB website?
We
So-
do.
Because I
list
never, I've
yeah,
lived in many years.
It's
I've
on the
never
events
got,
page.
it's on which?
The events page.
Oh, it is, okay.
And, what is it, 2 months ago when we heard people, who are some of our attendees talking about the Town incident,
Okay.
we recommended that they go to the community council, which apparently they did. So anyway, if anyone wants to show up, and just to watch it, and the 13th and the 17th precinct community councils are really very different, the way they're run. The 13th precinct one is always done in the precinct station house. The 17th precinct one is not, on purpose, I think by design, so it's less intimidating. Anyways,
Yeah, couple people who have signed up to speak.
I have to actually read these. Can I just, say that since you signed up first,
But Rachel's going to go first, if that's okay.
it's fine with me if you want to interrupt because of it.
And I will say, if people show up tomorrow, they will see a lot of us there again. I wanted to say good evening and thank you to the committee. And on behalf of concerned residents of Stuyvesant Town and Peter Cooper Village, and in the aftermath of the horrific rape of a 14-year-old child in our neighborhood, we're here to respectfully ask the committee and CB6 to request budgeting for increased police officer headcount at the 13th precinct. We've learned through various community meetings, including some that you've just mentioned, that the headcount at the 13th precinct is down a frightening and dangerous 40%. Stuyvesant Town is home to 28,000 residents. It's like a city within a city, and there simply isn't enough NYPD presence or responsiveness available. We're a huge part of their constituency and vastly underserved. We are taxpayers, and reliance on our public safety officers is unacceptable. So we urge this committee to ask for more police funding and to include similar information and requests in the statement for district needs. This is about visibility, presence, and coordination. We've spoken to both Senator Kristen Gonzalez and City Council member Virginia Maloney, and both have asked us to seek a resolution from this community board to help them in budgeting and beyond. And I understand that such a resolution may be taken up at the next meeting of this committee. You also mentioned involving Beam. We would welcome you to help us bring them to the table. Their response to all of this has been abysmal, and they will not engage with us in a meaningful way. And it's truly disappointing. And if Blackstone needs to be involved to get them to come to the table, we welcome that as well. One idea that has come up is to form a task force, which would include both members of the Tenants Association. It's another group of us who have formed independently of that, as well as potentially elected officials. Maybe some of you all would like to join it. The point of which would to be able to have meaningful dialogue with PM on a regular basis and have them sit down with us and actually address our concerns, which they have refused to do.
Thank you. And who else chooses to speak tonight?
Yeah. I'm good, I'm complete.
Okay, yeah, I do wanna and take this up, and we have a hand up.
Yes. Susan Steinberg? Susan, you should be able to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I would like to kind of second what Rachel has said. It's kind of shocking when we were at the 13th precinct to learn that they had 40% less police than they used to. And it would be really wonderful if the community board would include in its budget request budgeting for 100% capacity for the 13th precinct. And it's not just for Stuyvesant Town, it's for the entire 13th precinct. Even though Stuyvesant Town is a city unto itself. We really need to increase public safety around the neighborhoods. And it's not a time for the police department to be at a minimum level. So we really are looking for CB6 to support us in this effort to get the police up to 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. So I mean, I do think that we should have a meeting dedicated to the question. And that would probably be in June.
I was gonna say I can help set that.
I'm sorry,
I can help work with you on that.
any other new or old business?
I guess I want to ask if this would even fall something very new. And I have contacted Senator Gonzalez's office and spoke with Payne about it. But I read an article in Scientific American, great publication, and it talked about how serious deep fakes are becoming. And they're calling for state and federal officials to allow people to copyright their face and their voice. And I'm thinking where we're going with all this. Now, I don't know if it falls here, but it is a safety issue. So I'm waiting to hear back. I sent the article over, but that just makes sense to me. I know it sounds maybe crazy to people, but we have to have, they can use your face, they can use your voice. I don't even answer any calls at my phone that I don't know, because to me, spam's gonna be, whoever it is gonna record your voice. Next thing you know.
Gonna sound like Justin Collins, that's $1 million.
So, I will update once I have more information. If they don't want to take it up, I'm gonna go 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 till I find someone.
That is, and there are kinds.
I was gonna say, if you find it, can you share it with the group? I'm just be curious to read anything, or anything that you come up with,
Yeah.
because it's one of those things I just would like to. I don't even have an opinion on it because I don't know anything about it. So I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sandy's that are in our jurisdiction. Deep fakes and misuse of AI to impersonate other people. I think it is. I mean, it's used to commit a lot of crime as well.
Oh, yeah, tons of crimes. Billions and crimes.
Okay, investigate it, sure.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask a question. If the topics that we raised are occurring in June, does that mean that we miss budgeting season.
No, no. No, we're aiming to get everything done before budget
Thank
request,
Okay,
which is what, October, right?
October.
Everything?
So it's next year's.
understood, yes.
Yes,
Because something I just want to sort of piggyback on is, with regards to the, proposed is, you know, when it comes to larger apartment complexes, while of course we are requesting, additional funding to increase the police, but also to have, you know, police actually patrolling within the perimeters, like on the grounds in some of these larger apartment
which
complexes.
they do not do right now inside.
That is correct, unless they are called in.
Except the auxiliary officers are within the complex. My understanding is they actually have, lockers within the complex.
They have a storage area where they can keep uniforms, but the auxiliary are for the entire 13th precinct. So it does not mean that those auxiliary officers are going to be patrolling within Skytown. They could be in Chelsea, they could be up by Bellevue. They
Right,
could be-
I just meant that, while the NYPD, peace officers are not patrolling within Skytown, the auxiliary officers, it's my understanding, do,
And I was not at the last council meeting. However, I think what was reported was they do at least drive through in their patrol cars. So they are not on foot within the community, but they do drive their cars.
okay, so this is an issue that I think, you know, we'll develop, so we
Yeah.
can,
Thank-
we can give it the full attention that it deserves.
Thank you.
Great. Motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn.
Second, let's do it.
You don't just.
You don't need a second, you just need to make the motion.
That is correct, Stu.
Thank you
Sorry.
again for volunteering. This meeting is adjourned at 2013.
We got a lot of business done over that time.
Well, I'm a deep fake. I'm not really here.
Kevin, how do you know that's not true for all of us?
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't say it wasn't.